So many things to understand, so many willing to give a damn. I know somehow we can learn to stand side by side. Someone said tap into my energy. What a wonderful word to feel and see, and be the source of electricity side by side.
At the time, I was 16 years old. I was a troubled teen. I had trouble in school and had even more trouble making friends. My relationship with my parents were poor. They were mad at me for getting into trouble all the time. One night, I had overheard my parents talking about sending me to some boarding school called Elan. I was never worried about being sent away because I didn't think they would actually do it. I went to bed later that night and woke up to a loud noise. Two men in all black broke down my door and rushed me. They grabbed me and I tried to slither away from their hands. Before I knew it, they had zip-tied my hands and feet together and were carrying me outside my house. I was helpless. They took me to a black van and put a cloth over my head so I couldn't see. I was lucky to be able to breathe. The drive was long. I couldn't tell how long we were driving for. After a while, we drove onto a dirt road. The car stopped. The men took the cloth off my head and released the zip ties from my legs. My fight or flight response kicked in. I knew I had to do something before they took me inside. I bit one of the men untying me. They screamed, but they continued to move me. I was in the middle of a forest with a few buildings in a clearing. When they brought me inside, the kidnappers had told their leader that I needed to be punished with what they called a general meeting. My heart was pounding. I had no idea what a general meeting was. I heard somebody shout, "General meeting," and my heart sank. Two larger children came over to grab me, and I was unable to move. I heard the same voice shout, "Get your feelings out," and all of the children began to berate me, calling me horrific names. I tried to get out of the situation, shaking my arms and legs, but I was stuck. I remember my throat and eyes stinging from my shouting and crying, but I couldn't do anything. The same voice that started this saw my struggle. Instead of helping me, they came over and hit me with a ping pong paddle. This went on for hours. I couldn't do anything. I was helpless. That was the story of a person on the first day at Elan boarding school. Founded in 1970 by Joseph Ritchie, the Elan boarding school was a for-profit behavioral modification program.
Here is we don't bullshit kids. We don't tell kids that this is some kind of utopia, that everything is going to work out for you, that when you leave here everything is going to be roses. We don't tell them that out there is a nice place either, because it's not.
It cost families $50,000 per year to send their children to the school. During their operations, there were two terrible events called general meetings and boxing matches. The general meeting was an event that was meant to break the students by having all of their peers yell horrible words to them for hours and hours without escape. If the victim attempted to escape, they would be forced to stay there and listen to the shouts until they became emotionless and broken. Attack therapy is usually done in a group setting and is a highly controversial form of therapy that focuses on either verbal or physical abuse or humiliation from the other members of the group. There are many rules of the Elan boarding school. For example, here are a few. Do not talk too loudly. Do not talk too softly. Do not listen to music. Do not think of running away. Do not make any kind of facial reactions when given orders. Do not smile. Do not oversleep. Do not undersleep. Avoid negative body language. And do not write without permission, just to name a few. The list of rules continues, with each rule more absurd than the last. The Elan boarding school haunts every student that had been subjected to this horror, but today stands abandoned in Maine with their final days of operation in 2011.